Hey guys, this week's video is dedicated to all our brothers and sisters in the land of Israel. In a few weeks is our big summer soiree, our Shabbat summer soiree. So go on the website, sign up, come join us. Can't wait to see you. Came across a cute story of a yeshiva student who was going through the yeshiva system. Didn't care for learning, wasn't good at it, didn't want to do it. But that's what an Orthodox Jewish boy did at that age. So he came to interview to get into a yeshiva. And he comes to the rabbi, and the rabbi asked him point blank, do you want to learn? And he was honest and said no. But he said, I want to learn. And the rabbi said, okay, we can work with that, you're in. Besides just being a cute story, there's more here to it. In this week's Torah portion, Behaalotecha, we have a commandment from God to the Jewish people to bring the Pesach sacrifice in the desert. This would be the second time. First time was the year before when they were still in Egypt, and now this would be the first time in the desert a year later. And it's not chronologically, it's not in its right place, this commandment, when it took place in the desert. And Rashi gives a reason why. Well, that's not, so unique. There are many, when you read the Torah, many parts of it are chronologically out of place. There's usually a reason. And Rashi says the reason here is because there's kind of a shame to the Jewish people that the Torah was hiding. What's the shame? The shame is that this was the only time in the 40 years that the Jewish people were in the desert that they brought the Pesach sacrifice. For the next 39 years, until they entered the land of Israel, the Jewish people do not bring the Pesach sacrifice. The only time they brought it was the time that they were commanded explicitly by God in this week's Torah portion. So the Torah it's not chronologically in place to kind of minimize their embarrassment. The question is, wait, there must have been a good reason why they didn't bring it the other 39 years. Like, what's the shame? There must have been a good reason. And the answer is there was a good reason. Right? According to one opinion, the Jewish people weren't obligated to bring the Pesach sacrifice until they entered the land of Israel. That obligation didn't rest on them yet. According to another explanation, is the Torah explicitly says uncircumcised males may not partake of the Pesach sacrifice, and many of the Jewish people in the desert were uncircumcised because they were traveling, so anybody who was born would not be circumcised because it was dangerous. And therefore they waited till they got to the land of Israel. So they're legally, technically, they were all covered. So then what's the shame? So the Babish Rebbe has a different point of view on this, and he says, you're right. Legally, technically, they were totally correct not to bring it. But what was wrong? They didn't want to bring it. Where was the desire to at least do it? Even if they couldn't. Contrast this with another story in this week's Torah portion, with a group of Jews who were ritually impure, not through any fault of their own. They were carrying the coffin of Joseph from Egypt to Israel. So they were ritually impure. They couldn't partake, technically, legally, they could not partake in the Pesach sacrifice. And when God commands the Jewish people to bring it, they come to Moshe and say, hey, wait a minute, why should we miss out? They didn't say, oh, we're not obligated? Awesome, let's get out of here, let's go grab a drink. No, they said, wait, hold on a second. Why should we miss out on this mitzvah? Yeah, we know what the rules are. We know the rules say we can't partake, but those rules aren't fair. Why should we miss out? We didn't do anything wrong. And Moshe brings the complaint to God, and God says, okay, Pesach Sheni, a month later, you have a second opportunity. It's a new rule. You have a second opportunity if you missed out on the first to bring the second. Contrast that with the rest of the Jewish people, the other 39 years. Yes, they had all the excuses not to bring it. But where was this desire? Why didn't they come stampeding to Moshe and say, we want to do this mitzvah. This mitzvah is precious to us. We want to do this mitzvah. We know what it says. We know that we know we don't have to, but we want to. Where was that? And that's where something was lacking. And it's a powerful lesson. Obviously nobody's perfect in this world. We're all lacking in different aspects of our life. But the baseline should be, there should be at least a desire to want to improve in those areas. We should know, our baseline should be like what we want to do. And while it's more likely than not, we'll never attain that ideal image that we have, the desire will fuel us in making the right decisions. If we don't even have the desire to improve and do the right thing, that's a major red flag. We should want to want. And if we don't want, we should want to want, etc., etc. The desire will fuel you. Shabbat Shalom.